Everyone talks about Savannah's downtown squares, the horse-drawn carriages, the trolleys packed with tourists, snapping photos of every fountain they passed. And look, that side of Savannah earns its reputation, but locals don't spend their Saturdays there. So where do they actually go? Welcome to the other side of Savannah. It's beyond the historic district, along quiet streets that most visitors never think to explore. From a beach so hidden it doesn't even look like a beach at first, to a cemetery section so peaceful you'll forget you're standing in a city, to a nature trail with wildlife literally outnumbering the people who walk it. These are 12 places in Savannah, Georgia, where locals actually go to get away from the tourists. Let's start close to downtown and work our way out. One, Isle of Hope and Bluff Drive. First up is Isle of Hope. And if you want to understand how locals actually escape Savannah without ever leaving Savannah, this is where you start. Isle of Hope sits about 8 miles from downtown, roughly 15 minutes away, on a small inland island wrapped around a horseshoe bend in the Skidaway River. It didn't start as a neighborhood, it started as an escape. Back in the 1840s and 50s, wealthy Savannah families built summer homes here just to get away from the heat and the mosquitoes downtown. When a railroad line connected it to the city after the Civil War, it grew into a full summering spot, and by the early 1900s, people were living here year-round. Walk or bike down Bluff Drive today, and you're moving under a canopy of massive live oaks and palms, past homes ranging from small cottages to sprawling mansions in Greek Revival, Victorian and Craftsman styles. Some of the homes along Bluff Drive are well over 100 years old. There are even 2 wood-framed churches still standing from the 1870s. Just a mile from the marina, the historic Sandfly area covers whatever shopping or dining you need. And if you want to go even further back in time, Wormsloe Historic Site is right here too. It's quiet, it's walkable, and it barely feels like Savannah at all, which, if you're a local, is exactly the point. 2. McQueen's Island Trail. Now, if Isle of Hope is where you slow down, McQueen's Island Trail is where you disappear completely. Most people call it Savannah's Rails to Trails, and that name says it all. This 6-mile path is built right on top of the old Savannah and Atlantic Railroad line, the same tracks that carried beachgoers out to Tybee Island back in 1887. Once a highway to Tybee opened in 1923, the railroad had no reason to exist anymore, and the tracks were left behind. Now it's yours to walk. The only open trailhead sits about 15 miles east of the city, located right outside the gates of Fort Pulaski National Monument. Starting from this eastern entrance, you can access the open sections of the trail that run along the south channel of the Savannah River, while the western portions further down continue to recover from severe storm erosion. But that eastern stretch alone gives you marsh views, real history, and total quiet, all within 15 miles of downtown. McQueen's Island Trail is nature completely left alone. But up next is the opposite kind of green space, one where every inch is planted on purpose. 3. Savannah Botanical Gardens. Tucked away at 1388 Eisenhower Drive, this non-profit garden exists for one reason: to give people a peaceful place to slow down and reconnect with the plants and landscape of coastal Georgia. It's open daily during daylight hours, and admission is just $5, which goes straight back into keeping the pathways and gardens alive. Throughout the year, you'll find seasonal blooms, native plant displays, and rotating educational programs for all ages. It's the kind of place where people come to volunteer just as often as they come to visit, which tells you something about how the community actually feels about it. It's small, it's affordable, and it's proof that you don't need acres of marshland to find a little peace in Savannah. 4. Laurel Grove Cemetery. Now, if you really want to see the quiet side of Savannah, and I mean really quiet, you need to visit Laurel Grove Cemetery. Savannah has 3 main burial grounds, but Laurel Grove is the lesser-known one, which means it's also the most peaceful. It holds one of the largest collections of Victorian-era monuments in the entire southeast. The cemetery is actually split into two sections, physically divided by the Highway 16 connector ramp, Laurel Grove North at 802 West Anderson Street and Laurel Grove South at 2101 Collock Street. Both are open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and both have free parking. In the north section, you'll find Confederate General Lafayette McLaws, Girl Scouts founder Juliette Gordon Low, and even James Lord Pierpont, the man who composed Jingle Bells. There's also a section holding more than 600 Confederate headstones, and at its center stands the Silence Memorial, a statue that once stood in Forsyth Park, before being moved here in the late 1800s. In July of 2020, it was vandalized, spray-painted, and partially broken. You can still see faint traces of red paint on it today. Nearby, the Stranger Grounds hold the remains of more than 4,500 unclaimed people, a quiet, grassy field with barely a headstone in sight. Laurel Grove South tells a different story. This nearly 90-acre section was set aside for Savannah's African-American community when the city's earlier burial ground reached capacity. Walking through, you'll find a section marked only by plain wooden signs reading "Slaves' Burials," small, simple headstones slowly being swallowed by the roots of massive oaks. Why does a cemetery end up on a list about escaping the crowds? Because almost no tourist ever turns down this road, and that might be exactly why it's one of the most honest places in the entire city. 5. Lake Mayer Community Park. After all that quiet, let's bring some energy back. Lake Mayer Community Park is where Savannah families actually spend their weekends. Located at 1850 East Montgomery Crossroads, this 75-acre park opened back in 1972, and it's still one of the most used parks in the whole county. At the center of it all is a 35-acre lake, stocked with fish, with a boat ramp and fishing pier right on the water. Around the lake, you've got 1.5 miles of paved walking and jogging paths with a fitness course built in, 8 lighted tennis courts, lighted basketball courts, a baseball field, pickleball courts, even a lighted hockey rink and a dog exercise area. There's a playground for the kids, a community center hosting bingo nights and wellness classes, and picnic pavilions you can actually rent out. The county is currently working on a new master plan for the park, the first update since 2011, and they're asking the community what they want to see next. If you ask locals why they keep coming back here instead of downtown, the answer is simple. It's free to use, it's got something for every age group, and it's never trying to sell you anything. Speaking of things nobody's trying to sell you, let's talk about Savannah's actual secret beach. 6. Butterbean Beach. Most people assume Tybee Island is the only beach option near Savannah, but tucked just off the Diamond Causeway, right before the bridge onto Skidaway Island, is a small stretch of sand and water known as Butterbean Beach. If you're heading to Skidaway Island State Park or Wormslow, you've probably driven right past it without even noticing. It's not a big beach, it's more of an access point than a destination, but there's enough sand for kids to dig in and enough water for a proper swim. There are no lifeguards here, so it's swim at your own risk, but there is a life jacket loaner station set up for families who need one. Parking and restrooms are both free. Right next to the beach sits the Rodney J. Hall boat ramp, along with Bandy's Bait and Tackle if you're heading out on the water. Moon River Kayak also runs marsh and river tours that launch right from here, though you'll need to book those online ahead of time. Grab a spot at one of the picnic tables under the trees, and if you're lucky, a food truck might roll in for lunch. It's low-key, it's easy, and most tourists have absolutely no idea it exists. That's 6 spots down, 6 more to go, and now Tybee is about to show you a side of it almost nobody talks about. 7. South Beach and Back River Beach on Tybee Island. If you do make the drive out to Tybee Island, 18 miles from Savannah, most people head straight for South Beach. And sure, it's fun. It's the island's downtown, packed with shops and restaurants along Tibrisa Street, plus the Tybee Island Pier and Pavilion, where you can grab a drink and watch the cargo ships roll by. But locals know the real spot is somewhere else entirely, Back River Beach. It's considered one of Tybee's secret spots, and it's known as one of the best places on the whole island to catch a sunset. You'll see a sandbar out in the water that looks tempting to walk to, but visitors aren't allowed out there. The tides move fast, and the currents make it easy to get stranded or swept out. Right nearby is AJ's Dockside Restaurant, sitting on Tybee Creek, a favorite for fresh seafood without the downtown crowd. On your way on or off the island, you can also hit up the famous Crab Shack for a low-country boil, or swing by Lazaretto Creek Marina for kayak rentals and dolphin tours. So here's the real choice on Tybee. Spend your whole day on South Beach with everyone else, or save an hour near sunset, drive out to Back River Beach, and watch the sky change color with barely another soul around. Sunsets are great, but what does it look like when an entire neighborhood is built around slowing down? That's Coffee Bluff. 8. Coffee Bluff Marina and Neighborhood. Coffee Bluff, also known as Rose Dew, is a neighborhood built around the water, with a noticeably low level of traffic noise and a relaxed, open feel. Homes here range across decades of architectural styles, mostly single detached houses with easy parking, and it's especially known for its 3-bedroom homes tucked under live oaks. The centerpiece of the neighborhood is Coffee Bluff Marina, sitting right on the Little Ogeechee River, with public boat ramps, slips, and docks that double as a gathering spot for the whole community. Streets like Rose Dew Way and Sherbourne Road show off that classic low-country look, ranch-style and cottage homes shaded by oak canopies. Families here send their kids to Windsor Forest Elementary, Southwest Middle, and Windsor Forest High, all part of the Chatham County School District. And at the Crusader Community Center and Park on Coffee Bluff Villa Road, residents gather for fitness classes, workshops, and community events. Along the Forest River and the surrounding tidal marsh, homes here get sunrise views most tourists never see, since almost no one outside the neighborhood ever has a reason to drive through. 9. The Beach Institute. Now let's slow down and talk history, because Savannah's real story isn't only told on the trolley tours. The Beach Institute was founded in 1865, right at the dawn of the Reconstruction era, as the first school built specifically to educate emancipated African Americans in Savannah. It was built by free and formerly enslaved people, and completed in 1867 thanks to a generous contribution from Alfred Ely Beach, a New York philanthropist and inventor who also edited Scientific American magazine. For nearly 50 years, it was run by the American Missionary Association. Today, that same building houses the Beach Institute African American Cultural Center, Savannah's flagship museum for African American arts, history, and cultural preservation. It even won the 2016 Governor's Award for the Arts and Humanities of Georgia. Located just a few blocks away is the King Tisdale Cottage, a Victorian home built in 1896 and later owned by Sarah King and Robert Tisdale, 2 members of Savannah's African American entrepreneurial class. The museum inside was founded in 1981 by W.W. Law, a civil rights leader and historian, and it's dedicated entirely to preserving Savannah's African American commercial history and culture. Walk through, and you'll find artifacts, exhibits, and maps documenting Savannah's historic black communities going back to the late 1800s. And if that history has you curious about culture beyond Savannah's borders, there's one more stop close by. 10. Savannah African Art Museum. The Savannah African Art Museum holds a large collection of ceremonial and spiritual objects from West and Central Africa, made from ceramics, metal, and wood, dating back to the 19th and 20th centuries. The collection spans an enormous range, representing countries as far west as Guinea and as far east as Tanzania. As a non-profit, the museum's mission is education, introducing visitors to the power, diversity, and spirituality behind African art. And here's something worth knowing. The museum's massive collection of over 1,000 items was originally built over 3 decades by local Savannah businessman and private collector Don Cole, who established the non-profit to share these pieces with the public. It's open Wednesday through Saturday from 11 to 5, and admission is free. Visitors consistently mention how knowledgeable the tour guides are, and how the collection feels far bigger than the building suggests. For a museum, most tourists walk right past. It holds one of the more powerful collections in the entire city. Now, this next spot has one of the strangest backstories on this entire list, and I promise, it's worth hearing before you go. 11. Oatland Island Wildlife Centre. Oatland Island started out as a cotton plantation in the late 1700s, farmed by the McQueen family, who later became famous through a novel written about them in 1993. But the plantation days are just the beginning. In 1927, the island was bought by a railway workers' union to build a retirement home. It opened that November with room for 66 residents, but it was never filled, and by 1940, it had to close. The property was then sold to the US Public Health Service, and this is where things get strange. It became a research hospital, treating women and children with syphilis, until the discovery of penicillin made the hospital unnecessary in 1945. A plantation, a retirement home, and a hospital treating disease. How many lives can one small island live? Well, it's not done yet. That same year, ownership shifted again, this time to a division studying malaria and insect-borne disease. A year later, that division changed its name to the Communicable Disease Center. You know it today as the CDC. Right here on Oatland Island, researchers studied mosquito control and pesticide use, and actually invented the no-pest strip, the same technology that later led to the modern flea collar. The CDC finally moved out in 1973, and a local teacher petitioned to turn the property into an environmental education center instead. It opened to the public in 1974, and in 2024, it celebrated 50 years of welcoming visitors. Today, admission is $7 for adults, $5 for kids and seniors, and free for children 3 and under. Hours run from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And no vehicles are allowed in after 3:30. From plantation to retirement home to secret disease lab to wildlife center, this island has lived more lives than almost anywhere else in Savannah. And for our last stop, we're heading to a place that doesn't try to impress you at all, which might be exactly why locals love it most. 12. White Marsh Nature Preserve sits at 68 Johnny Mercer Boulevard, wedged between two of the busiest roads on the islands, but the second you step off the pavement, that traffic disappears completely. This is old-growth woods, left mostly alone, cut through with a 2.4-mile loop of trails, carrying names like Stardust, Sadsack, Backyard Bash, Retirement Plan, and yes, even one called Fart Swamp. Wooden walkways carry you over the low, wet sections, and a QR code at the entrance pulls up the full trail map right on your phone. Bug spray is recommended, and there are no restrooms, so plan accordingly. Runners, dog walkers, off-road bikers, and stroller-pushing parents all share these paths, and somehow, even on a busy day, the preserve feels big enough that you barely notice anyone else around. Keep walking until the trees open up, and you'll hit the enormous field in the middle of the preserve, surrounded by ancient oaks and towering pines under a wide open sky. The trails only run during daylight hours, since none of them are lit, so time your visit accordingly. Bring a picnic. Once you see that field, you'll understand exactly why people keep coming back. And there you have it. 12 places locals actually go when they want to step away from the crowds without ever really leaving Savannah. From quiet marsh trails and secret beaches to a cemetery holding more history than most museums, Savannah has a lot more going on than the postcard version downtown. You don't need to skip the squares or the trolley tours. Just know that when the crowds get to be too much, there's a quieter version of this city waiting just a few miles away, and now you know exactly where to find it.